BTS just announced this week that they will have a new single out on August 21st, as well as an album tease that's to be determined at a later date. They said late 2020. And this news is not making fans happy. Normally, if you're an artist or you're a fan of an artist, you are excited about this. There's new music. There's a new album coming out. The BTS Army, not so much. Now, BTS, obviously, as we know, is the biggest army on social media. They attack every single fan page. They try to get BTS played everywhere as much as possible, and yet mainstream radio has refused to give them the spins they deserve. Now, this single is going to be in English, and it was also announced along with the single that this will get the full radio push, including a world premiere, and
we lost Trace's feet there.
Oh, no. Again?
Right at the end. All we heard is a big label push and
immediate radio impact.
Oh, we're already at the end of the report. Okay. Yeah. Let's break down what that means, right? So BTS, obviously, they're a huge deal. There is no denying that they have arguably the most powerful group of fans in the world. That's just not for debate. It's when it comes to worldwide recognition, there pretty much is no one bigger. So why have they never been played enough in the US, at least to fans' desire, right? Why are they not getting 3 spins an hour like seemingly other major artists, people like Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, Drake, whoever it may be? Well, a big part of it was the industry playing catch up, right? And assuming, well, they're not singing in English and they don't live here and they're not from here, so why should we play them in radio? Now, obviously, this is a very tunnel visioned way to look at this, and it's very thankfully changing. But there's also a couple other factors when it comes to how songs are actually added to rotation on playlists. And this isn't, when we say, radio, we don't just mean physical, like turn a dial radio. I mean Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, whatever it may be that you're streaming on. So we'll get into that in a second, but initial thoughts, Raquel?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have made it very vocal that I've kind of gone into K-pop recently, and I'm understanding how everything works. I think it's like kind of what you said. The industry was like, this is new. We don't know if it's going to work. But now that they're seeing that they're breaking so many records, I mean, from so many different artists, I think they're finally like, oh, okay, this can work. Let's do this right now and majorly push their English, track. And I think a lot of other K-pop management groups are going to follow suit as well when this happens.
Yeah, that's important to note too. K-pop management groups. So right, they obviously have their teams, their management, their equivalent of labels in South Korea. That isn't the team that typically is a liaison for the radio stations, for the music outlets in the US. So that's kind of what's coming to play here too. But George, thoughts?
I think this is a nice compromise, if you will, because radio stations, traditional at least, were very like, I don't know if we should play this because they aren't speaking English and they're not here. But now that they're putting out in English, I feel like this is a nice compromise between both radio and like streaming and BTS, because they're both, coming to the middle. Like, okay, we have an English only song. Okay, we'll play you.
Right. And, that's an argument that's obviously understandable. 2020, now lots are changing, lots of mindsets, lots of how the industry of radio and music looks at artists and songs is evolving in real time. But also the counter argument here is that, it's great that it's changing now, but why did it take this long? Songs are in Spanish and they're played on the radio all the time. Psy Gangnam Style wasn't in English at all. So, I mean, why now? Why ignore a group of this magnitude for so long? And when I say ignore, I'm being hyperbolic, right? Obviously, like, they have received radio play. Some people and these fans, I will go ahead and attribute them to being probably the most woke when it comes to music industry, how it truly works. Like, they know what spins mean. They know how things are added. They know how songs are tabulated, which some of these fans, I would argue, probably know more than me when it comes to adding a song to a radio station. But, they're recognizing that, okay, just because they have spins doesn't mean that it was during a primetime slot. I literally saw that tweet today. Someone's like, that's cool. You added them. They're playing it. Why is it at 3 a.m?
Overnight.
I'm like, whoa, yeah. They know daytime slots too? This is crazy. Let's talk about Columbia Records and how they're handling BTS, right? So that's their US label side here. So it's not solely up to Columbia to push what they consider a pop song or whatever song they want to have impact being the term, meaning that's when they're pushing as hard as possible. That's when the label is putting the most money behind it. That's when the boots on the ground are going to all the radio stations. That's when they're encouraging fans and the artists to all get involved on social media. So when a song is impacting, it's usually seen as its biggest week, whether it be the time that it's added to a radio station, or if it's already on that radio station, the time that it sees a significant increase in plays. So Columbia, there seems to be a lot of misconception I see on the internet when people think that a management company is bad for an artist or a label group is bad for an artist. And yes, this is true sometimes. A lot of times they're nothing but an added asset if the band or the artist is already popular, right? They're not going to hold that person back. And I'm not saying this is all the time. I'm not generalizing. But why now? Why is Columbia seemingly going to every radio station and saying we want to add this next single? This is the one. This is what we need you to play. Because honestly, as big as BTS is, the demographic for a lot of these radio stations still have no idea who they are. And I know that seems weird, right? That's kind of a weird truth to grapple. But Trace, Raquel, George, all three of you guys, as myself, we're all in radio. Just because the people who are actually physically listening to a radio station may be in their teens or early 20s, the ones that the radio station is actually going after are late 20s, early 30s, sometimes even 40s. That's what's considered the money demographic, right?
Right.
And those people are playing catch up. Those people, while may not be bothered by the sound of BTS or may even like it, are just becoming awake to who they are in this very moment, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of a crazy thought. And I don't think that's how it should be, but it's cool to see. It's cool to see the guys. I'm excited to see the promotional push behind it. Obviously they'll have no shortage of social media attention when this happens.
Not at all. Mm-mm.
Any guesses on what it's going to sound like? What vibe it's going to be?
They said in their release on their live stream that it's a poppy or peppy upbeat song. They said they wanted to spread positivity to everybody during this time, during COVID-19. So they said the original plan was to make an album and put the whole album out, but they said instead we're doing a single first and then the rest of the album because we want to connect with our fans and make them feel happy in this trying time.
Yeah. What did they say about it being in English specifically? Why did they choose that?
They said, and this is a press release, and it sounded very somebody wrote it for them, but it sounded like they're like, it sounds great in English, and we feel English is the right song to push, like we did Mic Drop, like we did when we collaborated with Steve Aoki. He said it sounded in English and feel will connect more as opposed to Korean.
Yeah, and Raquel, you've been the one studying K-pop, for lack of a better phrase, over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. So where you have, half a brain that plays the radio game, that understands why, as much as it may suck, the truth of why these songs haven't been played on the radio a whole lot here. And then there's the fan in you, right? You got your K-pop stan half that's just excited to hear what they have coming. So where do you fall on this?
I was actually, Trace just saying about the whole it's sounding good in English comes with such a good point, because obviously the translation of all the songs is not the best sounding, so I think that it's a really good idea. I think that it's a really great time. Their whole they're very big on connecting with fans and being their kind of rock, and I think it's a really good idea for them, especially in the time right now. So if anyone's going to put out a song that's going to connect with people during a global pandemic, it's going to be someone who is globally known and killing it right now.
Well said.
Man, I just got it. I'm the one that got the swag. I'm the one that got him sad. I don't do this here to brag. I just got it. I'm the reason why you